expect that this was going to be such significant resistance. Took the long
All right, let me turn my mic up a little bit here. I think it's kind of quiet. That should be better, I think. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. All right. Sure, this is working. I don't know what I'm doing with YouTube. I think it's good. All right, yo. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know why I'm saying ladies. There's not a single female in this call. There's just no way. But anyways, all right. Sure, I got live chat. Yeah. All right. All right, we're chilling. All right, so I'm gonna walk through kind of a weekly outlook here. I can hear you in India. I don't want to be heard in India, I don't think. Make sure I mute my own stream. Yeah, we're chilling. Yeah, there's no ladies in here. Absolutely zero. All right, so I want to go through kind of a weekly outlook, recap on kind of what happened last week, and then we'll go over some hypotheticals. I'll also fill out my weekly prep sheet on stream, and then we'll go from there and see if anybody has any questions. Probably look at Solana and ETH too, I guess, because we're on here, so why the hell not? All right, so let's start with just kind of recap on last week, I guess. So where was our weekly open here? It was Sunday. Yeah, so I mean, we formed. I guess I'll go down the list actually of my Notion sheet. So I'll do VWAP first, but I'll just recap on last week first. So weekly open was right around here in this kind of balance that we formed, this mini balance. So we're kind of compressing against the 7-week composite high. Got that impulse up, and then we came up and we tested the November to December composite high. Found resistance there, and then we, kind of formed a range here, impulse down to that NPOC, which was confluent with the 7-week high, and then failed to accept higher and take a stab higher from there. started to break down, and then we saw a return inside of the 7-week composite, and we've kind of been building out value since that point. So based off of those two shifts, that would be bearish. So, the condition was bullish. I mean, now that we broke above the 7-week and then forgetting everything else here, but we were bullish up to that point. Finding resistance here wouldn't really be a shift in the condition. It's just finding resistance. And then, really shifting inside of the 7-week would be a very bearish shift. And, disregarding VWAP and everything, that would be bearish. And then we've been balancing ever since. And, we really haven't even mean reverted or traversed 7 weeks of value, never mind 2 months of value. So as it sits right now, I think we would be bearish, but let's kind of go down the list and look at everything. All right, so I'm going to look at VWAP first. To touch on anything else right now, I don't believe. Window capture. I'll have to do it like this. This will fuck up the stream. All right. I'll start with yearly VWAP, which really is just going to be previous year because yearly VWAP right now is the same as monthly. Quarterly is also the same, being that the periodicity underneath has not started a second cycle, so there has to be Q2 has to start for yearly to be applicable. Second month has to start in order for quarterly, so on and so forth. So, I mean, really, I'm going to lower time frame here. So with that being said, I mean, as we balanced over Christmas and New Year's, we were finding support at previous year value area low. We saw kind of a lower high put in here, and then that was kind of that impulse up, and we became imbalanced up on this developing VWAP. With that being said, the target from there, as long as we hold here, is still going to be previous year VWAP, which is also confluent with previous quarter, right around 100K, and it's sitting around this void in volume, right? This kind of inefficiency. So I mean, long term or medium term, however you want to classify that, that would be kind of my upside target for right now. So that's that with the yearly. Go to quarterly here, it's going to be very similar. Both developing is the same right now, like I said, and then previous is going to be kind of the same anyways. So same thing, really. I mean, right around that that Christmas to New Year's support level, that balance we formed. Same thing, right? So your mean reversion on previous value would be right around the same, towards 100K. Inefficiency, really the same deal there. And then, monthly and weekly are going to be a lot more applicable. I mean, in general, they usually are when it comes to higher time frame VWAPs. These are going to be more actionable and precise levels anyways. They just aren't as important, but they can be more applicable for trading opportunities more often than not, being that they just develop faster. So I'll start with monthly here. We'll take a look. What do we have to note here? So talk about developing month first, I guess. So there's your developing month open there, or I should say that is the yearly open. So there's January's VWAP, right? Become imbalanced up, remain imbalanced up, so that would be bullish. We have a bearish shift there. So once we found kind of last week's high at that 2-month composite high, we saw a return back inside, mean reversion, and then we traversed value. And then we've really just been rotational inside of, I guess, the lower half of developing month, as well as finding resistance against previous month. What is this? Previous month value area high. Yeah. So, if anything, I would say that just delete this. I would say really we are just rotational in both of them right now. I would be leaning more bearish, but I mean really just rotational right now. We did see acceptance back inside of previous month, finding resistance 1, 2, 3 major times, I guess you could say. But need to see more follow through. You can apply like the principles and the rules we talk about to previous value as well. So we could see, mean reversion remains untagged, confluent with other references around this level, this 88.5 to 89 or so. That's a pretty good level to work with, confluent with this balance area. So if we do see lower, that's going to remain a target. But yeah, traversal of that, and we're just rotational within value right now until proven otherwise, being that we accepted and traversed, and we've just been rotational in the lower half. Nothing else really to note there on that. And this is the weekly, right? Yeah, so weekly is going to be the most applicable usually. So we have with weekly open here. So weekly open really just rotational. We go imbalanced up, except back inside, traverse value, and then we're bearish against it up to this point, right? Imbalance down, kind of compressing, and really just kind of this tighter balance here. I would say this is still bearish. Kind of had acceptance here, but nothing really to note. We also found support against previous week value high. So right now, I would still say this is bearish. I mean, let's just look at the shift here first. I mean, that's a pretty good kind of acceptance picture there, right? Kind of compressing on the level, impulse, pullback, and you expect that to go higher. So if we do stay inside of this balance, kind of this weekend balance here, or no, this isn't the weekend balance, sorry, this is the weekend balance. If we do stay inside here, then this is going to be a nice bullish shift. But in order for me to actually look for buys, I mean, I would look at other stuff here. I wouldn't just buy off of this based on the current condition being bearish on the higher time frame. So like I said, with the composites, we had that failure up at last week's high, and we accepted inside of the 7-week composite. So that would be more emphasis than just a weekly developing week value shift. And this is going to be, this is going to be previous week value here in a little bit. So I'll fill some of this in now. Oh, Busy's in here. Woo! All right. Why am I typing that? 15. Okay, so let's pull up the weekly prep sheet, which I think all I have to do is this. Did that not work? Wait. Why is this not changing? I don't understand. Wait, maybe I have to pull it up. That's why I'm stupid. There we go. All right. Fucking idiot. All right, so let's walk through this. So this is usually how I fill out my weekly prep, just a Notion. So you put the date in here. So we have January 11th, impactful news. I'll just pull up on a different tab, but I use Forex Factor usually for it. And I just put it in here, just so you know, ahead of time. News calendar. All right. So let's say we have CPI on Tuesday. And then we have PPI on Wednesday and unemployment claims on Thursday. All right, so let's go back to VWAP here. Let's fill some of this in so I don't get too far ahead of it. Let's just say held as support from, say, over holidays. Say held as support over holidays. I'll talk about why this level is important once I get down to my bias and narrative and we go over profiles and stuff like that. I just haven't shown that part of it yet. So held as support over holidays. Need to see shorter term references, confirm higher prices in order to have higher conviction on mean reversion. So basically what I was saying, in order to see that 99 100K price, I think we'll actually deviate that if we do go higher. In order to see that, I want to see more follow through from shorter term stuff to confirm that actually happens. Rotational until proven otherwise. W. Yes, sir. That is correct. I'm actually going to copy this exactly because previous quarter inversion on previous value. Because, I mean, not very often are yearly and quarterly exactly the same, or previous year, previous quarter, but they are right now. Monthly, I'm just going to pull this up one more time just to refresh myself. You won't be able to see it though. Monthly, let's say traversal of developing month value. Where is this tab? Traversal of developing. Occurred, rotational. And occurred. Is that not a word? Man, I feel really stupid right now. I'm not spelling that wrong, am I? I don't care. I don't know what's going on with that. Rotational in lower half. And we're capping upside against. Where are we here? Capping upside against previous month value area high. Capping. All right. And then the weekly, we remain imbalanced down. Imbalanced down, found support at previous month value area high. At previous, let's say weekly low. All right, and then we'll talk about rolling VWAP here. So if I do this. All right, perfect. And we'll go back to rolling VWAP, which is really just more of a trend indication tool. Just gonna see where we're at. 90 days starting to creep down, actually, which is probably going to come into play if we do start to run up higher here. So just something to note there, but not really important right now. 30-day rolling VWAP rather flat. Put in last week's low. I guess this week's low technically, but last week's low, and we're really rotational between both of these points. So general idea is prices above 7-day, buyers are in control over that periodicity. 30-day, same thing. So let's fill some of this out. And then the other ones aren't going to be applicable. So I just go like this again. Uh-oh, what'd I do? There. All right. 7-day flipped upon acceptance back into 7-week comp. Capping price upside right now. And weekly low put in, let's just say, cap the price down. Now rotational. $30-day and the 90-day. Let's just say confluent with 2-month composite value area high. Just being that as this continues to develop, I don't know how long we're going to stay rotational here. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really know. But, if we do, this continues to develop, we get above that, maybe a bullish shift from there. Oh, you can't see my screen anyways. Doesn't really matter. 90-day rolling VWAP is starting to creep towards the 2-month composite high. So I'll just flip this back over. 365-day rolling is not important right now. It's just not. Why is that so high? That's not where that's supposed to be. Okay. Flip this back. All right, now let's talk about composite structure, which is what I base most of my trading off of. That and VWAP, but I mean, I would say it's more important. All right, so let's talk about composites. To start it off, I would say let's talk about the 2-month. All right. November. Is the value area high? No. Okay, that's not right. November is correct. Value area high. Perfect. All right. So from November to December, we're able to merge those profiles, being that there is overlap between the two, right? We had failure above here, proving that price is still rotational within. Actually, it's way down. I don't know why that's so low. I don't think that's right. Let me pull a volume profile here. Usually when it comes to composites, so your volume profile as well as your time, I like to do kind of like to overlay them just to see. I think that should be higher. Okay, but nonetheless, regardless, we really are rotational inside of November to December value right now. So from right around 95 to 83.7, which I actually think it should be more up here. I mean, you can see that's probably the level. I actually would kind of put more emphasis on that level, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But knowing that we had, a quick pop above the 2-month, acceptance back inside of kind of the shorter term references here, or I guess the value area high on the volume profiles here. So we had a shift, back inside there. That would be a bearish shift, and then the next bearish shift would be the 7-week. So the current condition really is bearish, and then we built out value here. So let's kind of go over what that's going to mean for us. Let me change this back because this is kind of a bitch to work with. Now let's go over to the weekly. And we have how many weeks here overlapping value? 8, I believe. So it was a 7-week composite here. Now it's 8. So I'm going to merge all of these. 2 weeks. 3 weeks. I hate doing this on TradingView. It's fucking horrible. So just a little recap. When you have at least 50% overlap or more of the value area with a profile, so it would be TPO here, right? You can merge the profile, and that's how you form a composite. Pretty simple. So this would be an 8-week now, so I'm just going to rename this to 8-week composite low. And it doesn't really change much, to be honest. So there's the 8-week high. Just move it up a little bit. Not really a big deal. Okay, now let's talk about daily profiles. Hopefully that's straightforward. If you have any questions, definitely hit me up in the chat. No big deal. All right. On to daily now. So this day is developing, so I probably wouldn't merge this yet. But, I mean, this will be mergeable with this. So what do we have here? This one I would not merge. We have a 2-day composite formed up here, which, potential return if we do see a bullish shift that could come into play. But in regards to narrative, it's not going to matter too much right now, but we're going to merge that. So yeah, you have a 2-day composite value area from 92.7 to 94.3 basically. This one I wouldn't merge, being that once we broke from this balance, this was more of just a trend day. So, I mean, I wouldn't bother with that. I'll just reset these so you can see I already have these marked. Just going to reset all of these, but you do have 4 days of balance built out here. So these would be 2 good days to work with, and then you have these kind of shitty weekend days here that I don't care about as much, just being that pretty much every Saturday, Sunday it looks like this. So I don't put as much emphasis on these, but they are mergeable, being that, like I said, they are at least 50% or more overlap of the previous ones. Well, like I said, I won't merge this one yet just because it's only partway through the day. But this will not have really any impact on the value area with these two. But I'm going to merge it regardless. And then once we get these done, we'll go over narrative. So this would be 3-day. So I'm going to do it with a box actually. Or a rectangle tool or whatever. Okay, and then 4-day. Well, I don't know why this is 4-day. 3-day. Okay. So now let's just recap. So like I said, we are technically rotational within November to December value. Knowing that price being rotational, it's rotational until it's not. So 2-month value area high up here, you would at least expect, the 2-month POC to be tagged which I believe is confluent with this 17-day. And then, yeah, we also have the 17-day balance built out here, I didn't mention. So, I mean, that would be the next likely target, or at least this level to be tagged here. So, like I said, the condition doesn't change until proven otherwise. So, technically rotational within 2 months of value. So, November to December balance. Following that, we saw acceptance back inside of the, I guess it was 7 weeks, now it's 8 weeks. So acceptance back inside of the 8 week, which is confluent with, or sorry, your mean reversion on that is confluent with the same POC. So I need to rename this. So that's the next likely target there. If we saw the full traversal of value, which that's what you should be anticipating, being that we saw acceptance here, it would plot us down to here, confluent with these lows, this imbalance, and the 17-day low as well. So 2 bearish shifts there, and then we built out value here. Yeah, all right, so let's walk through all of that now and put that in the sheet so I don't lose track of that. Okay. So profiles, let's say rotational. And November to December value. And recently, I shouldn't even say that, just say rotational inside of. Actually, you know what? No, sorry. I'll do that in the bias. Let's just say November to December composite. And then I'll put the value. So we have basically value area low would be. I don't think that's right, actually. But let's go with it anyways. I'm going to go off the volume profile value area low, actually, for this one. Just based off of my discretion, I think that's the better way to do it. I guess it really doesn't matter. It's the same level. I'm going to say 85K. So 85K to... so that's kind of the discrepancy or the difference there between the volume profile, 2-month, November to December, and the time. I'm going to go off the time one there being 95K. It's never perfect. 85K to 95K, let's just say that. And let's say 8-week composite from 86K to 91.5. And then we'll walk through this other one here. So we have that higher 2-day from 92.7 to 94.3K. Okay. And 3-day composite from 90.1K to 91.2. That look right? Yeah. Okay. Let me flip this back and then we'll just mark some of the anomalies, so your POCs and single prints, shit like that. All right. Okay. Let's look at some dailies here and just see some mark all the NPOCs and stuff like that. So I'll just do this on my own. Second screen. So NPOC at 92.7, which is also confluent with this 2-day composite low. So something to note there. This I really wouldn't put any emphasis on, to be honest. This POC also I wouldn't really care about. I would just say that NPOC for anomalies there. I don't think there's anything else worth noting here. I'd say single print down here, but I'm not really going to get into that. Okay. Now let's talk about bias and narrative and talk about where everything kind of changes, where we can have some clarity here. Okay. Let's just say price is rotational within November to December value. We'll say rotational. 8-week composite. Let's say expecting price to traverse both of these composites. Both of these composites confluent with, I can't type. Get TP off my screen. Confluent with previous quarter / year, previous value very low. Okay. And let's pop back over to this screen here. Okay. Let me check the chat here. I haven't looked at that. Anything's going on here. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Sometimes I forget to explain what I'm thinking here. So, I mean, really, like I said, failure above the 2 month, still rotational. So you're expecting price to run to the other side of value, or at least the POC, which is here. So it'd be a bearish shift, right? Another bearish shift inside a composite structure here in the 8-week. So you're expecting to see the mean reversion here at the POC, potentially even this side. So if we traverse 8 weeks of value down to here, what else do you have? You have these lows down here, this imbalance, and you have the 17-day composite low as well as all of this VWAP overlap. So, where does the condition change? Well, the condition changes once we break this composite here, which is also confluent with, flipping previous month VWAP, breaking, having a breakout pullback on previous month value area high there. I'm sure you can see those labels. And then, the next obvious target would be, balanced to imbalanced moves, right? So it would be the NPOC and the 2-day composite value area low. That would be a bullish shift. So if we saw that, that would be buys. If we break to the downside here, I think that would be good for a short, being that we have this 3-day composite here and the condition is already bearish. And, like I said, bearish shift here, and the most recent shift also being bearish, right? So that would make sense to target shorts down to at least here. And I mean, really, if you're following the higher time frame condition here, being the 2 month and the 8-week, it would put you down to at least here, probably even the lows. So, my main target for shorts would be down to here. That makes sense, I assume. And now let's just fill the rest of this out and start wrapping this up. And then I'll go over to Solana, Ethereum after that. We'll make it a bit quicker. I won't fill out a sheet and explain it as much. All right. All right. Rotational with a November-December value. Anticipating, say condition remains the same until proven otherwise. Rotation with an 8-week comp, expecting price to reverse both of these composites confluent with previous quarter, previous year val. Say equal lows sitting near VWAP overlap confluent with composite. Oh, I forgot to mention the 17-day here. Let me quickly put that in. 17-day composite, because that is an important level I forgot to mention. I know I did mention that. I just didn't put it in my prep. My bad. From, let's say, 87K to 88.7. 87K to 88.7K. All right, I think I got them all. With composites, value composites, let's just say 17-day and 8-week. Composite value area low, equal lows. Low. Condition remains bearish due to recent shifts against value and I actually think that answers it. Rotation within a condition remains the same until proven otherwise. Rotation with an 8-week composite. Expected price serves both these composite and flume with previous quarter, previous year. Condition will shift. Break of 3-day. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. And then we'll talk about some potential hypos here. So long hypos. Let me go back to TradingView. Okay, so very easy long hypo here would be a break of the 3-day balance as well as the 8-week. So, I mean, really anywhere here would make sense for a long, targeting here. Just delete that. I don't know if we're going to get that short. If you're watching in the Discord, I did. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we kind of need to clean this up. I think I deleted it. Yeah, I mean, this high volume node here is what I expected to get tagged. I mean, I have a really high row size. We kind of just tagged the edge of it. And then we front ran monthly VWAP, at least on Coinbase and the Golden Pocket, or else I wanted to take a short there. I wasn't really watching it that closely. I figured we would get a better run up there, but there was a decent squeeze in there. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone else got in that short or not, but I didn't. I was doing something else. But anyways, we burn through this. All right, zoom out here. I don't really care about that. And then, I mean, long term, which I'm not going to go over, if we do see a break to the upside there, like I said, I would target that overlap there. And more than likely, I think we would actually probably deviate these VWAPs and tag this range as POC, and then upon a breakdown from there, I would short. I've talked about that a couple times, but I don't think I need to get ahead of myself there. What's a decent time frame to work with here? Let's say something like this. I'm just going to pull it all the way over. That's fine. Work with that for now. Okay. So a breakout pullback of this would make sense for a short. Breakout pullback to the downside of this would also make sense for a short, being the condition is already bearish, and this would be another bearish shift following kind of the higher time frame condition right now. Same thing here. I mean, really, I would expect that we do see a reaction around this POC for sure. So, I mean, there's a few different ways you can play this, and there's a lot of potential this week. I hope that we do continue being bearish and we just break to the downside. Yeah, that's all I really have to say on that. I hope we break to the downside first because there's a few more potential trades, and then once we come down to this level, we kind of flip the narrative is what I hope we see. And I mean, really, a return from here also makes sense. So, like I said, the condition remains the same until proven otherwise. So, being that, we're technically, we are bearish on weekly VWAP, we are rotational in the lower half of monthly, we kind of accept inside a previous month value. Yearly and quarterly, we technically would be bullish against them, but they're not important right now, right? So, I mean, being that the yearly and the quarterly are, I guess you could say they're more important, they're less precise to trade with, and, the levels are down here. So, being that a shift upon or with these higher time frame references like the yearly and the quarterly are more important, there's so many times you can see it happen and just nothing happens. Good afternoon. So it really just depends. So, I mean, really, the condition's going to be short until we see a reason to not be trying to short, which would be a break here. To the upside, I mean, we could go there as well. I would be a lot less inclined to take shorts upon the breakdown of this area here. So I would stop shorting down here And I think that's where I would kind of sit on my hands and wait and see if we start to maybe build value out here where we have this low volume node and this kind of this inefficiency, this imbalance. If we get that and we build value out here, right? Then from there, if we break to the upside, that would be a good long, especially with a return to the 17-day. Or if we broke from there, then I would short. Just because, I mean, with the condition being bearish, I feel like this is once you've traversed all of this 8 weeks of value, that's where it's gonna come down to kind of decision making, and that's often when I'll like sit on my hands. So when when the narrative for the condition is so strongly skewed in one way, so I would be bearish right now, especially if we break down from here and accept in here, that would be very bearish for me. So immediate break short here. I mean, rotational shorts within here would be good. We played the return here, or I did last week. I sent this idea, didn't quite get in it, just kind of front ran my area. I wasn't paying full attention to it. So I mean, these are perfect shorts to take, right? And then POC just depends. But once you get down to here, being that you traverse 8 weeks of value, you clean up these lows, right? This is where it's probably going to run into trouble. And then at that point, if you see a return here, based off of recency and traversing 8 weeks of value, and also kind of getting back above this kind of VWAP overlap here, then that would make sense to go long, and then you can play the reversal. So when you have multiple very good balance areas like this, that's where this kind of trading excels and where I like to excel. And that's sometimes when I get those like 25, 30 plus R weeks when I have so much to work with here and the condition is obvious. I'll play every single trade until it doesn't work otherwise. Looking at gold, yeah, I can look at gold. Let me just draw these up here. Let me finish this. I kind of went off there, but that was still kind of valuable to explain. So break to the upside would be bullish. Break to the downside, conditions already bearish. Another return here would make sense for shorts. I don't think I'll be trading from the POC. What I will do is just wait, like I said. So if we tag the POC here and then we have a breakout of here, based off of recency, right, and mean reverting at the POC, this would be a great long to take. And then the condition will be bullish against, this composite. And then from there, I'd have to reevaluate. So it just depends. These lows remain a very interesting target to me, I would say. So I'm going to mark these off. And like I said, the only way I would continue to take shorts after we clean up these lows is if we sweep them and then build out value, and then we get, based off of recent structure and a recent shift, we get a short. I would short that. That's if we really continue to fuck off even lower. And then I guess next target would be closer to these lows down here. But I'm not going to go over all that just because that's anticipatory and I don't think that's going to happen. So shorts in there would be great. I'm going to mark this for a long right now. And let's just, this would just be me basically guessing the potential sequence just based off of how I would analyze this area. Let's say we clean up these lows, right? And we get a return there. I would short that. Okay. Just being that we have this imbalance. Of course, I could be wrong and we could play shorts lower. And then upon that, if we break to the upside again, I would long that. Okay. If we clean up these lows, we could become rotational back inside of here again, and then from there, the condition would be rotational until we break the downside from there. That would be a short or break to the upside. I'm just going to draw it this way though, just because I think that's fairly likely. Draw something like that. All right, I think that makes sense. If we do shift bullish here, right, monthly value is going to continue to develop, right? So if we are rotational and monthly, and we break to the upside of monthly as well as accept back inside of this 2-day composite, I would like to play that for a long as well. So really any recent shift against the structure will probably present a trade. And then any obvious VWAP overlap is going to be important as well. Usually when it comes to trading with VWAPs or composites, your composite structure will take precedent, at least for me. If the market is imbalanced, like if you were trying to trade somewhere in here and you didn't have composite structure to work with, then VWAPs are usually more of a trading location. And then you just look for overlap. Of course, you can apply auction market theory and like those principles to VWAP, which I obviously do. But composites and profiles usually are more precise, I find. But I absolutely look at shifts on both of them. It just, where it's the idea isn't to see when everything is clear, like always try and understand shit. It's to see like when it is clear. So like, very obvious breakout pullback of the 8-week and this 2-day and previous month value high, flip previous month VWAP. That would be multiple references saying that you're at least long term or you're bullish up to at least this level. which would be confluent with staying rotational inside of previous month value, right? So you'd be tagging both those levels. Developing week will also continue to move down. So just a little thing there. I guess I'll draw that as well. So very simple. And I'm gonna make this gray. Actually, I hate color coding this shit. I don't really care. That'll work. Okay, so immediate break. Let's move this up just a bit. It just depends how structure sits up. It's never perfect. Oh shit, what did I just do? Okay, move that up. Move this up a bit. I think that the immediate break of this, if you want to play safer, maybe look at the 8-week. It just depends on how lower time frame structure looks when you try to play the break out of this, if it does happen. Make me mod. Do I know how to do that? Add as moderator. I got you. There you go. You're mod busy. I think. I don't know. Whatever. Just get this ready for a screenshot. Clean up these lows. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just go with that, and then we'll label the notion, and then I'll stop stretching this out so long. It's been kind of long. And then that's pretty much it. And then I'll look at gold. Gold, Solana, ETH, I guess. If anyone else has any other pairs, I can look at them quickly. I don't mind. Let me pull up the prep sheet. All right. Longs. Maybe move this back. Longs, let's just say breakout pullback of 3-day / 8-week composite value area high. Then I'll just put the price in there. I won't put targets and stuff, but very obviously it's going to be, the next area of balance, right? The market is always seeking fair value, so the market moves balance to imbalance. Pretty straightforward. And that is, just say about 91.5, let's just say. It's kind of that zone. Long hypos, what else? Let's say if we do get that break, the next obvious one, like I said, would be the 2-day higher, so it would be 92.8. So return pullback of 2-day composite value high, which is 92.8. And this would be the bigger one here. Or I guess I have... You know what? I'm going to delete the... once we clean up those lows, if we do accept back inside and then break that 17-day, I'm just going to delete that. That doesn't need to be on here. That's just anticipating too many moves. So let's just leave that for now. Okay, we're going to go with these. So breakup pullback of the current balance that we're in and the return of the higher one. Shorts, so breakup pullback of 3-day composite value area low, which is 90.1K. Next one would be the return pullback of 17-day composite value area high, which is 88.7. All right. And then we'll go lines in the sand here, and then this is done. This back. No, this. There we go. Okay. Is there any chance you could look at hype very quickly afterwards? I feel like it could be in a good area to eventually take trades, but I can't tell. Yes, sir. I got you. So yeah, like I was explaining before, I guess you couldn't see it. I deleted this long. This is absolutely a valid long. So if it tags the POC and does this, that's a buy. If that's a buy, if it cleans the lows, does this, that's a buy. If we break the upside, that's a buy. But this is just anticipating this does happen, which I don't know will. So I'm just going to delete that for now. I need to rename this to 8-week, and then I'll take a screenshot of this. 8-week, 8-week. Just going to delete that. Actually, no, I'm not. All right, and let's talk about lines in the sand here. Delete these. And then burn through this faster. Where would I stop looking for shorts? I would say short term, I'm not going to be shorting let's say the 17-day value area low. Like I said, I'm not going to be trying to play this, even though you would be bearish against so many different things. Like I said, once it cleans up these lows, I think we could see reacceptance there. So that's where I'm going to stop shorting short term anyways. So let's say 80, what is that? Let's just say 17-day composite value area high. So short term, bearish line in the sand would be 17-day composite value area low. Where would I stop looking for longs? I would say the 2-month value area low, probably. Or you know what? No, my long term would be, I guess no, it's short term, my bad. Short term, I would say if we lose this level, I don't want to be longing anymore. So I really don't want to be, I'm going to use the same level here. So my short term line in the sand is going to be the same for both of these, to be honest. If that makes sense. So I don't want to be playing shorts here, and I don't want to be playing longs if this level is lost. So if we go down here, I don't really want to be longing until we see newer developments happen. That makes sense. Long term, I would say it's still November's low. I would say, there's a reason for this, so I'll just show you quickly. It's based off of yearly VWAP, basically, an older composite structure, but mostly yearly VWAP. So this is 2024 value here, right? It's not previous anymore. But this is November's low here, which is also confluent with this balance. I can't draw. This balance area, value area low. So if we truly see acceptance here and spend too much time and space inside, I expect at least mean reversion, which is 66K confluent with this. So that's where I'll absolutely stop buying if we, truly lose that. So that remains my level. So let's just say 2024 value area high is what I'm going to call that. So long-term bullish line in the sand is 2024 value area high. Oh, I labeled that wrong. Short term. Long term, yep, my bad. Short term bullish line in the sand, 17 days, Bearish line in the sand. Long term, I would say I will stop looking for longs if or did I wait, I'm stupid. Bearish line in the sand long term, my bad. I will stop looking for shorts if we spend too much time above, what is this POC here? I would say 101K. Being that this older 14-week composite, which is this one, right? That's what this level is. If we spend time and space above here, right, the POC, this is very likely this could be a lower high from this level, and that's a short. If we spend time and space above here, right, I think that's probably a good indication that we do actually traverse. And when I say traverse, I'm talking about previous quarter, previous year value, right? So from here, we've held here. Okay, we kind of had a return in here. Kind of shitty. It's not really actionable to trade off these levels as much. Right, so I think we'll deviate these VWAPs, and if we do, I think we'll tag the POC, and as long as we hold in here, I think the traversal of value is likely, which is what you should be anticipating anyways, but first target is mean reversion, which is here. But of course, we can just deviate that a little bit, being that it's only a few $1,000, a couple $1,000. If we do fail here and break down, I think that would be a short down to whatever, I guess it depends what happens in this area here. So I would say, what's that about? Let's just say 102K. That's what I'll say for my long-term bullish line in the sand, or bearish, rather. 102K. And okay, that's that. So here's what we have here. Just recap really quickly. So technically bullish against yearly and quarterly previous value right now, but not really important. I swear that's how you spell occurred. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why it says that. I don't care. So technically bearish against developing weak value. What else do we have here? So yeah, We're rotational with a November December value, which is that larger area. So that condition remains the same until proven otherwise. Rotation on the 8-week comp. Yeah, so I would anticipate that we do. I guess it depends which side we break, really. So if we break to the upside of the 8-week and the 3-day we have right now, bullish, at least for now. And yeah, but the condition is bearish right now. So we break to the downside. I will play shorts all the way down till these equal lows, which is at what, 84, 85, 86K, 86K lows. I'm just gonna mark that here where the equal lows. Just say 86K. All right. Did you put 2 R's in a curd? No. A curd has 1 R, does it not? It has 2? What the fuck? Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, whatever. All right, that's fine. That's done. And we'll quickly look at it's not my full watch list. Look at ETH. I don't think I've charted ETH in a while. All right. Really nice balance we built out here. I pull this all the way across. Nice. Okay. Let's look at monthly. I don't even know what Ethereum has here. I'd be more inclined to look at a weekly here. I think we'd have 5 or 6 days of balance here. That's the current month. Yeah, so let's just leave monthly value right now. Let's go to weekly on Ethereum. I'm not going to write the subredding, so if you want this, you'll have to do it yourself. I think this is... Just reset this. TradingView is horrible for this, man. Trying to do this. So we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of overlapping value. I don't think I'm going to include this one. I'm just going to merge these quickly. Eight weeks, nice. Value area highs down here. Eight weeks of value, so same as Bitcoin. 8 weeks, and then I'll go to the daily here quickly, and then we'll look at VWAP and at least get an idea of direction. We rotational still, yes. So deviation, that would have been a really nice short right there. But being that we did recently accept back inside of Ethereum, or sorry, inside of the 8-week, you would still expect mean reversion, right? Which is complete with the POC here. So that's what I would anticipate there. Look at more recent developments here. We just look at a daily really quickly. I'm sure we have overlap here. That's worth noting. I'm not even going to bother with this one. That's just a deviation of the range. Acceptance back inside. So bearish shift there for sure. And then I'll merge. I guess that's the current day. Whatever. I don't really care. 4-day composite built out here, which would be a good level. So very similar to Bitcoin, right? Condition would be bearish upon this shift here. And then, you know, it just depends. If we break to the downside of this composite, I'd probably short. I don't know where VWAP's at, but that's what I would say. Looks like we just mean reverted monthly value, rotational inside of monthly value. Yeah. I'm going to draw a box like this. So I guess it just depends. Being that Bitcoin's pretty weak, there's good excess on this candle. We could see a return here for a short as well. So 4-day, and let's look at Ethereum. So previous year value, anything worth noting here? Rotational inside of previous year value, previous year VWAP is really just kind of building chop around it. But except inside of previous year value, or sorry, yeah, rotational, my bad. Rotational inside of previous year value. So that's going to remain the same until you say otherwise. Where the hell is previous quarter? Oh, here. So previous quarter, I guess, would be bullish, right? Accepted here. But again, it's not really in play. I wouldn't care about it very much. Previous month, so you saw, you were imbalanced up on Ethereum, accepted back inside, right? Accepted back inside of previous month. And, you like I said, you'd be expecting at least mean reversion or the full traversal. So that'd be, you'd be bearish against previous month value and rotational in the lower half right now, which it already has traversed. So, a breakdown from there, confluent with the composite, would probably make sense for a short. That's how I would play this if I was to trade Ethereum right now. I don't care to clear this. Look at weekly. This is weekly, right? Yeah. So weekly will be bearish. I mean, we kind of saw acceptance here, but I don't know if it's going to hold. But this would all be bearish against weekly, kind of finding support at previous week value area high, but not really an actionable level right now, actually. Why is that? I don't know. Doesn't really matter anyways. So again, it seems like the play would be a breakdown from this, this short. Lots of overlap here. So let's go back to this chart. So let's just look here. So you can see where all of that kind of VWAP overlap is. So could you play this short? Yeah, probably. This is definitely the better one though for shorts. And like I said, the condition is bearish, being that you accept it here, right? Incepted back inside of 8 weeks of value. This would be what you really just call a failed auction, just a deviation of value. Really clean return pullback. That would have been a good short. From there, like I said, this would be a breakdown from the composite. You'd become imbalanced down on monthly value. Be breaking down from weekly value, previous week value high. You'd see acceptance back inside if you do get this. So multiple bearish references there. And then my first obvious target would be previous week val, previous quarter val, POC. So right here is where I would short to if I was to play that. Pretty straightforward. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe go rolling VWAP here. Really similar to Bitcoin, actually. So pretty flat right now. So I mean, that usually means price isn't doing much. It's probably rotational when they both look like this. So really is rotational within these two rolling VWAPs, which is kind of interesting. So that's that. I would say a breakdown from the composite here would be a good short. Wrong chart. Solana, really quickly. What do we have here? Solana is rotational inside of this value as well. So this is really clean. We got that long on Friday, which was nice. Really started to compress kind of against weekly value, against this composite low, and then got this squeeze up from here. All right, so what do we have? Well, we are, recently accepted back inside, pull back there for shorts. We're back up at that level. So, we did recently accept and we're still holding that level. What's up, USMC? So it really just depends. I would wait for the next recent shift. Above the 7-day would be a bullish indication. Above the 30-day would be bullish. Let's look at VWAP. Solana is a bit less clear, so I'd really just boil it down to, I think VWAP is going to be more important. I'm looking at Solana right now because Solana looks stronger, but previous year val. Previous year val, yes. Wait, or is this? This is, my bad. So what's that? 133. Yeah, so found pretty good support at previous year val. So I mean, at that point, you'd be expecting mean reversion, which is here. What VWAP is this? 2024 VWAP. So that will probably come into play too. Which I think, yeah, you have this imbalance here. I think 90-day rolling VWAP is around there. So I would expect a reaction from 150 to 153 or so, and then this balance area. If we do go higher, condition would be bullish against previous year value on Solana, but not really going to be crazy important right now. Previous quarter, same thing. I saw acceptance here, so you'd be expecting mean reversion, 160. This one is 173. Monthly value, really pretty choppy right now. Finding support and compressing against, yeah, we saw acceptance there. So we were really just kind of rotational inside of the upper half of developing month value. VWAP held is pretty good support. And then, you got this kind of compressive behavior here. And then, it's squeezing back up here. So really, at that point, you would expect it to be rotational until proven otherwise, even though this kind of shift here would look kind of bullish, but you'd still be expecting this, which is confluent with previous month VWAP around 130. And then weekly rotational. So completely rotational on weekly right now. Squeeze, cleaned up the highs, kind of accepted back inside, I would say. So weekly, I would say down to 136, probably. So, I mean, really, I would say if you start to spend time and space above Solana, or say above this composite high, you know, that would be a good long there. And I would target this imbalance confluent with the 90-day rolling VWAP and this composite low is how I would play that. Being that we did accept here, right, we did mean revert it here. We're just rotational in the upper half of this larger composite. So I would say that we built out value here. So I would say I would look to play the immediate break of either of the balance areas here, or either side of this balance area. Is how I would play that. I actually like how Bitcoin looks more, to be honest. So it just depends which one looks better. All that clear? Anybody have any questions? And I'll look at gold too. Gold has been pretty nice to trade. Gold, I think, is just going to fucking go up, to be honest. So pretty much everything on gold is bullish right now, I believe. So I did get a short last week here. I longed here upon the acceptance. Anytime you accept into value and like fail and then break down, that's pretty much always a good short to take, which is what this was. So you saw the acceptance here and then failed. I thought it would go lower, but I did TP it a couple times, I think. I figured we'd come down, and we didn't even traverse monthly value. I figured we would come down kind of to this imbalance overlap between previous week VWAP, monthly val, and the 3-day right here. Didn't get it, but nonetheless found a bottom, accepted back inside of here, traversed, and then we kind of compressed into this level, and then we accepted, and we actually flew. We even came back and retested this overlap here. So we kind of flew up from there. So I would expect we go higher. I mean, it's pretty hard to say that we wouldn't, just because the full condition is just bullish. So let's look at VWAP, even though I think every VWAP is bullish right now. Gold just goes up, so previous year value literally doesn't matter. Quarterly, we found good support. When was this? January 1st, basically. Beginning of the year, we found support at previous quarter value, so that would be a rejection. Again, it's not a shift of the condition, but that would be bullish rejection. Same thing here. Kind of, we saw acceptance inside of previous month value there, but actually didn't fail the traversal, which can happen, especially with previous value. It's not always going to happen. It's just where's their overlap and like where does a trade make sense. So that's that. Accepted, mean reverted, monthly, and then we broke out a monthly here. So that would be bullish, being that we're now imbalanced up on monthly value. So bullish. Weekly is the same thing. Accepted, right? That's when I took the short, this acceptance, and then we traverse monthly value right here. So acceptance for short, that's the breakdown from the composite. Traversal, kind of saw acceptance back inside of previous week value, but again, it didn't traverse. It doesn't always, especially with previous VWAP value. I don't think it's as important to trade it that way. And then obviously, like I said, we're just rotational at that point, compressing against value area high, impulse, and then you're imbalanced up. So bullish. Every condition or every shift is bullish right now. So potential trades, I mean, let me look at composites here really quickly. Might be some more overlap I didn't mark. These I already merged. This one I'm not going to merge. Actually, you know what? Yes, I am going to merge all of these, being that you built value here, deviated, accepted, and then kind of built out more here. Let me just see how that looks if I do that. Okay, those are pretty good levels. Yeah, I'll work with that. And then you have this older one too. So one little note here, this is a valuable note to take note of. So if you have value like this and you break and start ranging, that's what you'd call a failed auction, like a deviation of value. And if you step back inside and then range again, right, and then you build up more days, with composites, you can't just skip a day. You can't merge this and then ignore this and then merge this. It doesn't work like that. So you could merge this entire thing into a composite if you get a deviation like this, just so you know. That's something valuable to note down. So that's what that would be. So I would merge all of these. And that would be good to work with. And then let's drag this up to here. Why does that look so weird? Oh, it's just because they're both overlapped. So you'd have something like that, basically. So could have been some good longs there. I don't think I took them. And then, you know, at that point, you get a breakout pullback of... This is really, really good. You'll see this often. And when you have stuff like this is when this kind of trading excels. I mean, this trading excels really anytime, just because it gives you such a good framework to use. But you have... I'll just draw this. I mean, you have like... That's what this is. You'd have this value, which is this one, right? So if you get them... I guess I drew that kind of shitty. Let's do it like this. Right? If you're getting a... So if you took a long here, right, upon acceptance here, you're getting a breakout of value here, which is an A+ contextual trade, and you're getting a return of this one, which is also an A+ trade. So when you have like two buttered up profiles like that, it's just even better confluence. So could have long there, I didn't, but could have taken that. So potential trades, I would say if you see acceptance back in here, I would look for a short down to this gap, probably. Right, being that would be a return pullback. That would be, again, that would be 4 kind of contextual A+ trades with the shifting conditions. So it would be a breakout of this value. It would be acceptance back inside of this value, and it would be acceptance back inside of monthly and weekly developing value with VWAP. And then, you know, look for next overlap. So you have composite value area low overlapping with previous week value area high, previous month value area high, and monthly VWAP. And you have this imbalance. So target it down to here is how I would play that short. I was to short that. I mean, I don't know. I think I would ignore this long. Just, I don't know. It depends. There's not a lot to work with. I mean, could you long this? Probably. But you have no other confluence besides a breakout at all-time high. Is that all-time high? Yes. Of this composite. So you could take that, or you could take this. Is how I would trade gold. A lot more confluence here to work with, obviously. But, you know, when stuff's at all-time high, it just depends. Weekly value will come into play. So, like I said, for example, if the market is kind of more of an imbalance or trending state, you'll have to wait till tomorrow, too, being that weekly VWAP will be the same as monthly VWAP until Tuesday, right? Or the end of Monday, I should say. So, you know, if we go like this and we just start trending, weekly VWAP will develop. So if you're catching pullbacks into weekly value, that would be trades you could take, being that there's literally no other reference to work off of. That's when you'd put more emphasis on VWAP over composite structure for taking trades. At least that's what I do. I care more about profiles than I do about VWAP, but they're both very useful, and the idea is just to look where there's overlap and stuff like that. So that's how I'd play that. So that's pretty much it, unless anybody has any other stuff you want me to go over. I don't mind doing that. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully you guys were able to learn some stuff from that. But yeah, if you guys got more stuff you want me to go over, I can definitely do that. Just checking Discord when I haven't opened this in a minute. Lots of car talk. My ex-girlfriend's sitting in BMW. Can anyone guess which model? Get your money up, not your funny up, my friend. Hayden. Oh, you crested Hype. Yeah, you did. My bad, brother. Yep. Hype and NQ. Yeah, yeah. I do actually frequently chart NASDAQ, being that it's pretty influential on crypto. So, Hype. Yeah, you did. My bad. Sorry, I was reading Discord. All right. Hype. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Some friends who trade Hype a lot. Let's look at... I'll look at monthly first, I guess. What do we have here? That's the current month. November. Wait, did I merge this? Why does it look so big? I don't know. Stupid. That's pretty good support down there. All right, let's look at more recent shit. That doesn't really matter right now. Weekly, I'm going to merge this because we have, let's just say, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks overlapping value on this. So I think everyone understands what that looks like, right? If you have overlap. So, I mean, there's lots of ways, and some of it's discretionary. It comes with time, but when I do a video, I haven't done the market profile video, but when I do the market or market profile or TPO video for the education stuff, I'll explain this. But when you have at least 50% or more overlap between profiles, so if you have something like this, and you have something, like this, it's 50% or more. Generally, you can merge them into one, and then maybe you get something like this. Then you would merge all of this, and that would be for this example, it'd be a 3-week composite, and then it'll give you one value area to work with. Not to say you can't use the smaller ones, because the smaller ones usually present more trading opportunities, and you'll see I usually am using daily composites more, just based on how I trade. It just gives more opportunity. But so with this, I mean, you can see this is your area to work with here. So you can see there's the overlap between all of these. So you merge them all into one. So this would be 4 weeks. So this would be your 4-week value area low, 4-week value area high. Four-week C value area high. And the POC is actually capping price up right now. So interesting. Okay. I'm just going to mark this as 4-week POC. And I'm going to pull this too, to see where volume is, if it's any different. No, very much the same. What's the indicator you use for volume profiles? Volume profiles? Or are you talking about TPO, like market profile? Because, I mean, volume profile, I mean, usually just fixed range. Usually what I'll do, and this is kind of, I don't know if it's a lesser known thing or not, I'll definitely tell you because it's really useful, but what I like to do usually, which you've probably seen me do it if you pay attention, is I'll overlay a volume profile on my composite, so like on my TPO. So if I have, say this is your 3-day value area with time, I'll take a fixed range profile and I would pull it over the area, and you just see how it lines up to give you a zone market profile. So this is a TradingView technical tool. You have to have premium to use it. What you can use, there's a few different ones. Some of you guys, I think I've mentioned this in chat, but you can note this down if you want. So yeah, you have to have TradingView Premium to use TPO on TradingView. I actually don't like the TradingView one. I like Premium for other stuff. One, like all the indicators and the layouts that I use, I kind of need it. But I just use TradingView because it's convenient. But most of my like actual work I don't do on here, but it does work. But what you can use is ATOS is one. So ATAS, ATOS. That's a free kind of order flow platform you can use, and it has TPO you can use. So when I do the TPO videos for the server, they'll probably be on ATOS because I think that's what I'll push people to use because it's not a bad platform. There's a couple other websites. Kiyotaka is one that has TPO. What else does? GoCharting.com has TPO. There's quite a few that you can use. It just depends. But yeah, the TradingView one, it would look like this. So time, price, opportunity. So you can see it's by TradingView. So it's a technical, I believe, technically. So I wouldn't recommend, maybe there's a TPO indicator made by somebody that works. I don't think that there is, but there might be. So I'm not sure. So let me get back to this. Sorry, I went way off track. I'm going to delete that. All right, now I'm going to look at daily here. And then we'll just go from there. What do you have to work with here? So 2-day composite here. Okay, so maybe a breakout long here on hype towards this POC is what I'm seeing right now. And then you kind of be flipping the POC. Again, you don't usually want to trade from kind of a range-bound POC. Sometimes you can, but I mean, you probably hear me say a general rule, you don't want to take trades off of the POC being that it's fair value and both sides are happy to trade there. A lot of two-way trading happens there, but when there's overlap and stuff like that, it can happen. It just depends. But this is it's definitely at a key level right now. So just something to note. So I'm gonna mark this off for your value area, which I wouldn't put crazy emphasis on this profile, but it is there. So I'm gonna mark it. What else do we have? 1, 2, 3. I'm not gonna mark this one. Not really any overlap there. This one, I'm not gonna mark either of these. These, I'm gonna merge this into a 3-day composite. And that'll probably give you a pretty good level to work with in the future. And then I'll label it as well. And then that's confluent with the 4-week as well. So when you have overlap like that anytime, it's good to work with. And you'll see that that's why this kind of framework in trading is extremely helpful and useful. It just gives you so much clarity to work with. And it's actually a video I'm working on, or I was going to record it. Maybe we'll do it later, I'm not sure. But like why you should trade like this as opposed to other styles, just because it just gives you such an easy framework to use. There's not really any guesswork. Whereas if you use like all of the other popular kind of trading styles, like whether it's ICT or regular support and resistance or whatever it happens to be, or it just depends. Most people have one major tool they like to use, and Elliott Wave, which Elliott Wave is good. I'm not Spencer used Elliott Wave, it's good. The market moving in waves is definitely useful. It's just the fact that in between those waves, there's balance areas. So using the balance areas gives you such easy ways to work. So using them both together, kind of Spencer does, is useful. But like things like ICT and all this shit, it doesn't give you any narrative. The narrative reading on that kind of stuff is just dog shit. There's just no way to work with it. So it just depends. All right. I wouldn't merge this. I would mark this POC. But you have value here. 3-day rolling VWAP is going to be nice to look at. I'm going to mark this as an NPOC here, being that if it breaks to the upside, that's a really good target to use immediately. All right. Let's just look here. Hype. Bybit. Yeah, I was looking at that recent volume profile and how the value area high was in line with POC, so I wasn't sure whether to look for breakout, as I know it's not best to trade the POC. You can't hear you, turn your mic up. Man, I keep turning it up. I don't know whether it's loud or quiet. Here, let me turn it up a little bit more, because the way my stuff's set up, it's super loud. I'll turn it up more. That should be good enough, I would assume. Yeah, so going back to that question, like I said, generally it's not a trade location, but it can be, especially if it's a really significant POC, like 4-week, 5-week, whatever it happens to be. Then, it can be more important. It just depends. And then it just comes down to overlap and where there's clarity and stuff like that. I don't know why. Never mind. There's a white line down here. I don't know what the fuck that is. Absolutely beautiful volume. Fuck yeah. All right. So we are rotational inside of previous year value, right? Haven't tagged the low yet. Filled this wick. Something to note. Again, you'd be expecting the traversal, but who knows? Yearly and stuff is very important, but it doesn't give you precise levels to work with. That's the issue with it, but that there's a whole system around that. We would be inbounds down on previous quarter value, but again, does this level matter right now? No. It mattered here, it mattered here. If we come back to that level, does it matter? Yeah. But does it matter right now for trading? No, it doesn't matter. Hasn't been touched since beginning of December. Doesn't matter. Monthly, so we would be bearish against monthly right now, and we are inbounds down on both. So we accepted, mean reverted previous month, accepted inside developing month, traversed, and then we'd be bearish against both of them right now. If we do see acceptance here, that would be really good. So if we do, you're going to notice that that's going to be confluent with where price currently is, like that POC and the current range value area high. So if you get a breakout of that, you'd mean revert this, which is probably confluent with that naked POC. So there's a lot of overlap there. So that's probably going to come into play. But as of right now, bearish, and you're kind of compressing into that level to get an impulse, potentially. Of course, it could fail, but so this trade probably would be based upon recency and whatever shift happens first. That would be good. That's monthly. Sorry, I think I said it's weekly. That's monthly. Weekly would be bearish as well. So previous week value. So, again, overlap. So we were bullish against previous week, rotational, imbalanced up, accept back inside, traverse, imbalance pullback, acceptance back inside of previous week value, and another pullback, and then you're completely bearish against developing week, and you complete the traversal of previous week. So bearish against both of those, but again, you're compressing here. So if we accept here, you're seeing a shift, a bullish shift in the condition on what? Previous week, developing week. I guess this won't be previous, but it'll be 2 weeks ago once weekly open happens. And the monthly and that POC and stuff. So definitely the condition would be bearish right now. So if we break to the downside, short, and if we break to the upside, I would buy. So yeah, let's go back to the chart here. So again, and you'd be bearish against rolling VWAPs right now. I don't know where the other ones are at. Yeah, so these don't matter right now. But again, you'll start to see the overlap here. So that POC, right? Sometimes it's not a trade location, sometimes it is. So again, structurally, you'd say this is bullish. So here's the overlap, right? So if we break here, right, that would be, you kind of getting above the POC. I don't trade that way, but again, the POC is going to be a significant level. So treat it as such. You don't need to kind of overcomplicate it. You are having a breakout pullback of the 2-day composite. You're accepting inside of monthly value and previous week value, right? And then from there, you target the next area of balance, which is here, right? And then you have more overlap. You have 30-day rolling VWAP, which is going to work its way down. Monthly VWAP, same thing. And then you're running into previous week VWAP and weekly value area low. All right, so you're having a bullish shift against previous week value, monthly value, previous month value, and this composite. So, that would be a very obvious target to go for. And from there, we just recently accepted inside of this composite, correct? Yeah. Yep. So, like I said, you're using all of these references, you have dissonant behavior all the time. Like 2 VWAPs might be bullish, one might be neutral, one might be bearish. Composite structure might be bullish. Like you don't know, right? So the idea is to see where there is clarity, not always have an idea, not always think where stuff is going. It's seeing, where there is clarity. So being that, I guess we're rotational here, but we did bottom here, right? We did clean up the low, but we deviated, kind of accepted back inside. So the condition on composite structure would be rotational until proven otherwise. So you'd be expecting it to run to the other side, really. So really breakout pullback there. I would say take a long towards the NPOC, confluent with 30-day rolling VWAP. So I would, something like this. So basically a long from 24.7 to 25.6. I would long that. Shorts, I would say these lows are interesting too. I would mark these. Something to note. What's structure look like here? Let's see. A lot of lows to work with. I would say the condition, I would be bullish right now, probably. This would be my target. And then, longer term target would be the 4-week high, which is up here. And then from there, right, you have even more overlap. So that, or, that's going to be a decision point up here, I would say. That would be my next immediate trade. It's a short. I would say short's not as good. But again, if you do get a shift here, then I would play shorts down to these lows. Being that's rotational and it's going to lose that kind of rotational condition. So that would be my target down here. So hopefully that answers your question. That's how I would play hype right now. NAS 100 USD. I don't even know what I have on here. Let's delete that shit. It's calling me. All right, we have like a crazy balance built out here, I think. How big is this? Is this whole area worth pulling? Yeah, maybe. Let's try from November. Very insightful. Yeah, no worries, dog. Folks calling me. Turn your mic up. We can't hear you. You know what? Turn your fucking speaker up. How's that? Can I even fit this whole thing in the screen? Yeah, barely. Monthly. 4 months overlapping value looks like. Yeah, I'm going to merge this too. I know we're right at value area high, I think. I believe. I would be bearish. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Let me see if I don't merge the current month. Let's do this. 3 months of value. I would be more expecting a failed auction and a big short. Are you talking more short term or long term with NAS? Because I mean, short term, none of this is really going to matter all that much. I would say like medium to long term is what I can analyze here. Let's just mark this value area off. Quickly look at this. Got some overlap here as well. Do I want to merge this one? Merge these three. Long term, yeah. All right. That would be decent to work with there. I mean, there's a lot here. I'm not going to merge all of these, but there's a lot of composites you could build here. So, I mean, this major 3.5 month, I guess it would be right now, is going to be your level. You're above it right now. And you look basically bullish against everything, to be honest. But here's where I would start to look at where you're probably going to go. Weekly. I'm not going to merge that. I'm going to go to the daily for this. I'm going to break this down, see what composite I get here. So let's just say, what do we have for overlap here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not merging that. It's kind of shitty. Four-day. Yeah, let's mark that. Again, like, this could totally be a potential trade opportunity here, right? But like I mentioned before, if you look at it, this is a deviation of this multi-month, I guess multi-week at this point, up to this point, multi-week composite, and then you see acceptance back inside. It doesn't mean this isn't worth noting because, this is probably where you get a reaction to, play a short or where you're going to expect a reaction at the very worst. So that's a 4-day. Yeah, I think that's all I would mark on that right now. These can fuck off. All right, so what do we have here? So, yeah, I mean, you're looking really bullish, but at the same time, like, nothing I really want to trade on this. Something like that. Okay, look at VWAP. Nice. It's a long video. It's fine. Bullish against previous week, or previous year rather. Found the bottom there in November. Not going to matter to you right now. Previous quarter accepted inside of previous quarter value, mean reverted, and now you're above it. So imbalanced up on previous quarter value, but this will be helpful if you see acceptance back inside. If you see acceptance back inside, then definitely you're going to be looking for shorts. Bullish against developing month as well. So opens, mean reverts, bullish, acceptance, mean reversion, and then impulse up, bullish. So again, very similar. If you see acceptance back inside of that composite, then definitely look for shorts. Weekly, same thing. All of those are bullish, really, and aren't very usable at all right now. Like, completely unusable. Just being that they're at all-time highs, basically. Imbalance, and then let's just see, where's that NPOC? Let's go like this. Yeah, so the edge of this composite, I'm just going to label this NPOC. Yeah. All right, so actual trades, like, is there anything even to work with? Here's the question. So, I mean, you kind of broke here. If we start, here's the thing. Here's how I would probably play this. If you really see acceptance back in here, I mean, obvious short, like I said, POC would be an obvious target. I don't even know where this older POC is. I don't even mark it. But you'd play mean reversion, essentially. Right, acceptance here, mean reversion. There's so much overlap here. I don't expect you would hold a short down to here, wherever the POC is. So, you know, you'd get into these kind of levels, and then you'd be dealing with VWAP. So weekly, monthly VWAP, yeah. So, I mean, lots of overlap here. POC, you know, your monthly mean reversion is there. Previous week is going to be around the same. Traversal weekly will be here. So I would play it to 25.5 or so, maybe a little bit higher if I was to short that. So I would wait. It's one of those times I wouldn't even be looking for something. So if you start to build up value here, you know, you get something like that, then I would play the long up to the POC. That's how I would play that. So I would be sitting on my hands and just wait for this to develop. And then, you know, if we do and you get that break and you see acceptance, then again, it's breaking down from this balance as well as seeing acceptance inside of the older one. And then I would be bearish at least until proven otherwise, right? And you'd be expecting the traversal, which, let's just mark this. POC is pretty high, I believe, on this. Looks like it is. Yeah, so same thing. POC is pretty high. High volume node is also here. More VWAP overlap at that high volume node. So yeah, it would be, you know, short here to here, or balance, break, long. That's how I would play that. Nothing overly amazing to work with right now besides, you know, looking for shorts there. Lower time frame structure, is it possible it comes back and sweeps? Are we selling courses now, big dog? The server's free, dog. I don't know what you're saying. Why, you want to buy it? If you want to donate some money, I'll send you my PayPal. Everyone's got to eat. Yeah, no worries, dog. Yeah, I mean, time and space in here. Take a short. Yeah, I wouldn't even overthink that. So that's pretty much it. Each rotation here. Yeah, wish I got that short, but that's what it is. All right, anybody else have any other questions? Nah, we out in the trenches. Yeah, me too, dude. I'm struggling really hard. Life is rough. You're welcome, my favorite Indian Mumbai friend. 5 big booms. No. I'm good. You can keep that shit. No. Is that high? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty decent squeeze there. It's a thing. I wish... I don't know. Bearish anyways. Just play the breakdown, I guess, from there. Let's get the indicator drop. Yeah, bro, when you get out of the trenches and get your money up, maybe you can join and you'll get them. Until then, man, you might be shit out of luck. I don't know. Yeah, actually, that would have been nice. I just wish it went a little bit higher. It's kind of bullshit. I wasn't paying full attention, though, either, but that would have been a nice bonk there on Bitcoin. But it just depends. I don't know. All right, anybody have any questions on anything? Mean River, yeah. Wait, no, I looked at gold. Yeah, we're chilling. How mad I didn't. What's this? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, unless anybody else has any other tickers you want charted or whatever, then probably call it there. How's this stream? I haven't even looked at the stream. Like, is the quality alright on this thing? Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Wait, how long does this last? Oh, still got it. Sweet. All right. I don't think anybody else has any questions, so I'm going to wrap it up. Have a good week. Hopefully you guys learn lots. Yeah. Pretty much it. Don't think I'm going to be... I mean, I chart more stuff too. It's just too much shit to cover. I'll start going over that more. I have different watch lists and stuff I like to go over. So, I mean, over time, I'll start adding more shit. I don't... It's just too much to signal everything, and I kind of like diversify my risk a lot on stuff. So, like, the stuff I'm sending, I usually putting more risk on. Yeah, see you later, Doug. Yeah, thanks, Busy. Thanks for moderating, man. You're the best at that. So good at it. Holy shit. What are we doing here? Yeah. Damn. Talk about rotational. Oh, shit. Acceptance. That would have been nice. Breakout. Hizzy modding. Yes, sir. I mean, there's your, like, 3 main contextual trades with the profile right there. Right? I mean, I played this long. Right? There's your return. You target the traversal. Deviates. Acceptance. Long. Breakout. Long. Cleans up these highs. Now it's in this balance. So pull back. Yeah, there's your 3 contextual trades to take with a profile. $300 a week. Yeah, fucking light work, baby. Let's go. All right, guys. I'm going to call it here. See you guys in the chats. Have a good week. God bless.